Hello, my name is Rachel Meyer. I am the project director for the Churches Promoting Recovery Project. I am joined today by Dr. Brett McCarty, our principal investigator, who also teaches at Duke Divinity School and Duke School of Medicine. So, Brett, I'm glad to be with you today.
It's great to be together.
So, Brett, you have been studying substance use issues, the opioid crisis, and religious responses to substance use issues for quite some time. And through that work, you have, I think, noticed some similarities across different sectors in a variety of ways of, criminal justice and medical and spiritual. Can you talk a little bit more about what you've been finding?
Yeah. The work of following folks in Southern Appalachia for the past 5 years and then across North Carolina the past 2 has really been a joyful experience. But one common theme I've noticed from the criminal justice, the medical, and oftentimes in churches as well, is that you treat persons as isolated individuals, whether when you incarcerate them, you literally cut them off from their communities. When you treat them as a patient, you might isolate them from all the folks who support them. Or when you're seeking their salvation, you are often doing so with no regard for the networks that they're enmeshed within. And really, health is not individual. One of my favorite essayists and novelist, Wendell Berry, writes about in a lecture that he gives called Health as Membership, that to speak of the health of the individual is a contradiction in terms, that the basic unit of health is the community. And so when you think about the need for the community to be transformed in the process of healing, then that sets it in a whole different key than just simply thinking about the isolated individual, whether you're in criminal justice, medicine, or the church.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what do faith communities have as resources when they want to think about responding, not just at the individual level?
Yeah, well, one of the great joys and benefits is that the foundational scriptures of the Abrahamic faith traditions, that's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they're all communally focused in their account of who people are and who people are called to be. And so Christianity is where I have my background and expertise. And so in the Christian scriptures and the accounts of Jesus and the Gospels, we always see him healing, and he's known as a healer in communally based ways. And for example, in Luke 24, when he's walking with these 2 disciples on this dusty road to Emmaus, and they don't realize that he's been resurrected, he's a stranger to them. Like, he takes the time to hear their stories, responds, help them understand that they're a part of a new story, and takes time to break bread with them. And it's in that taking time of walking with people and spending time with them in community that the healing and transformation begins to take effect. Or earlier in Luke 5, where there's a guy who's paralyzed, and his 4 buddies want to bring him to Jesus to see if he can be healed. And the problem is all these religious folks are surrounding Jesus, and he can't get to Jesus because the religious folks are blocking him, which has happened maybe a few times since then as well. And they can't get to Jesus through the crowd. So what they do is they tear a hole through the roof and lower him down in the middle of everyone. And it's in part because of their faith that Jesus is able to respond to this guy and heal them. But they have to, in walking with their friend, overcome these barriers to getting care. And then finally, in Mark 5, we have this account of this guy who's been possessed by demons, who's isolated all alone. And when Jesus cast out these demons, whose name is Legion, the same name that Roman soldiers, their companies, would have had at the time, it is this transformative social act. This massive herd of pigs goes over the edge. It's this like cosmic confrontation that has economic ramifications. They're clearly like raising pigs as their economy. It has political ramifications because there's an encounter that threatens the Roman rule of these subjects. But that economic and political edge is bound up in the healing of this one man who is restored to his community through that. So when we look at Jesus' healing ministry in the scriptures, we see this walking with people, folks overcoming barriers to accessing care, and these social and political transformations all bound up in the healing of persons.
Brett, thank you for that. You've talked a lot about stories in Scripture. Yeah. You've also spent a lot of time studying churches, especially in Eastern Tennessee, Western North Carolina. Do you have any real-life stories that kind of point to that communal type of healing that you just described in Scripture?
Yeah. So several accounts come to mind of when folks are struggling with substance use issues. They're also often involved with the criminal justice system or struggling to have transportation or access to jobs. And so there have been occasions where, as some folks have described that their churches loved them into recovery. And what that looked like was going with them to their court appointments and advocating for them that they're being cared for in a community, and that they see transformation happening. These communities are caring and walking with people in these ways. They're helping overcome barriers to care, like transportation, and are really bringing folks to their medical appointments or to other social service agencies that they're a part of. And they're in the process of learning to walk with people and accompany them in these struggles. These churches are finding that they are getting caught up in desiring the transformation of their societies, so that rather than being bent away from the flourishing of folks struggling with substance use issues, these societies can become places of shalom, of true healing and transformation. And honestly, some of the most powerful stories are when churches who walk with folks struggling with substance use issues are themselves transformed in this process, that they find that they discover deeper, truer sense of who they're supposed to be in meeting and caring for these folks.
Yeah, yeah. For a church that maybe is just starting to think about responding to substance use issues and walking alongside those folks, what sort of challenges might they expect to face along the way, knowing that substance use is complicated?
Yeah. Well, I'm a quick fix kind of person myself, so I can understand why one basic challenge is that you might hope that immediately things are going to be solved and much better. And it's a journey, and it takes time, and you have to meet people where they are and understand that there are going to be ups and downs in walking with them. And that's just true for everyone, not just folks struggling with substance use issues. So kind of realizing that you're in it for the journey, I think, is a thing. And also just realizing that this is not some distant problem of these other folks that we need to be nervous about. This is all of our communities have folks struggling with substance use issues in them. This is us. Like we need to not like stigmatize or make folks seem other. But as one recovery pastor said, we're all in recovery from something, and so there's a kind of deep solidarity that can be found in imagining that these are not kind of specialized other problems, but we are together trying to care for one another and seek our own healing and transformation.
So what does it look like when a church is living fully into that mission of walking alongside individuals who are living with substance use issues?
Yeah. Well, it's a transformation not simply of the person who might be living within substance use issues, but of the church community itself, because they might find themselves going to court appointments to accompany people, helping them with their transportation needs as they seek to make medical appointments or social service agencies or job interviews. It's helping through their relational networks them find job connections, and realizing that this is not simply a quick fix, but it's a journey, just like Jesus was walking with those disciples along that long road to Emmaus and talking with them and sharing meals with them. This is a journey, and to walk with folks is to yourselves be transformed in that process as well.